What's up, y'all? Welcome to my podcast. This podcast is going to be all about talking about what's going on in the world. This is for the people who don't have time to read all the articles, who don't have time and don't want to turn on the news. You just want to get the facts straight. I gotcha. And this is just a disclaimer. I'm not a reporter. I am just reading articles and conveying the information that I have read and that I have seen, but do your own research. I just want to, keep it light and tell y'all what's going on in the world. Okay, let's get into it. So we can't start off this podcast without talking about the submarine madness that has taken over the news the last few days. So I just want to get right into it and tell y'all what's been going on. Okay, so the submarine that went missing was called the Titan. Appropriately named because it was built to go down to see the Titanic, right? So let's take it all the way back. I know we've all seen the Titanic movie, but that actually took place in April of 1912. And I would just like to say, as I was seeing all this going on in the news, I really thought oh, this is a new thing. People are going down to go see the Titanic. This is crazy. This is like an advancement in technology. And it is. While it is a huge advancement in technology, the first manned voyage down to the Titanic was in 1986. So this has been proven to be successful in the past, and there have been a lot of other vessels that have made it down with people to see the Titanic. There have been almost 200, I think they said a little over 230 people that have gone down to see the Titanic. So this is by no means a new idea or a new concept or something that hasn't been explored before. So in my mind, there's no reason why we shouldn't have a successful voyage down there, especially if the first one was so long ago. So let's talk about the 5 people who were on this ship, right? I'm going to put the names on the screen because I don't want to be disrespectful and mess up anybody's name. But there was a British businessman, a French businessman, a Pakistani businessman, and his 18-year-old son, and Stockton Rush, who is the CEO of OceanGate, which is the company that created the submarine and was and led this expedition. So now we got to talk about David Pogue. He was a CBS News reporter who actually went on the Titanic on the same vessel in November of 2022. Him and a few other passengers wanted to take the journey down to the Titanic, so they did. There was a whole news story about his travels and his expedition with the Titan and with this crew down to the Titanic, and it definitely got off to a rocky start. So I'm going to actually put the link to that news clip in the bio, but they had to sign a waiver basically saying that there was no regulatory system that had approved the ship as far as safety, and they weren't liable for any death or injury or anything like that. So right off the bat, not looking like a good start, right? So let's talk about where this ship is, right? It is in the Atlantic Ocean. So they do have to first make the voyage out on a ship to get kind of above or in the realm of the area of the Titanic before they dive down. So it's already a few hours of being on the ship until they can get in a prime location. They took that right out on the boat. And right as they were getting ready to get in the sub and go down, they were alerted by someone on board that's responsible for their safety that the waves were too high, too crazy, and that it was not going to be a safe trip. So they did have to wait a few more days. They were still on the water on the ship trying to wait it out. So the decision ended up being made to still make a trip in the submarine, but closer to the coast so that they could still get the experience and see some caves. They were going to go to shark breeding grounds. So they were still able to make that voyage and see how it went. Unfortunately, when they tried to make that trip out, there was an issue with some of the flotation devices on the submarine that actually came apart from the submarine. So that voyage had to be derailed as well. A few days later, the water calmed down and they were actually able to make the trip down to the Titanic. It was a successful trip in the sense that they did get to see the Titanic, but one of the members on board did go on record to say that they did get lost for 2 hours. So they say that there's no GPS on these ships. They're too far down. There's no GPS. There's no way that they can do that. So what happens is they're relying on the GPS of the ship above the water, and then they send some sort of text signals down to the submarine to help guide them in the correct direction. But again, eventually they did make it onto the submarine, obviously a once in a lifetime opportunity. And then they made it back up to the shore and again, shared their experience with everyone, right? So now we're thinking, hey, we've seen somebody on the news go, we've seen people make this voyage, make this trip, so it can be done. It has been done in the past. It should be safe to go with this company, right? So we're all on board for trusting Ocean Gate. Okay, fast forward to Sunday. That group of 5 people that we mentioned earlier get on that submarine, that same submarine, to go down to see the Titanic, right? So a lot of us, and including myself, I didn't really see people talking about this story until like late Tuesday, or maybe even early Wednesday. But I could just be late because I'm also not a girl who just sits around and watches the news all day. I read the articles a few days later to kind of catch myself up when I have time. The ship went missing on Sunday. They lost signal with the submarine when it made it about 900 miles off the coast of Cape Cod, and it was about 13,000 miles down last time that they got some signal from it. And 13,000 miles down is about the depth of where the Titanic was. So obviously that's going to send them into a panic. They started sending out search submarines and cameras and aircrafts and everything to try and find in the area where this ship could possibly be. They're having aircrafts look for like debris that may have like floated up. They're looking for everything, any evidence of what could have happened to this submarine. Wednesday midday, they did hear some noises. There were vibrations, some noises in the water around the area where the submarine was last seen. But they said it's very hard because the way sound travels in the water is like much more effective than like on land. So they don't know, it could be animal noises, it could be noises from like ships, that are in the surrounding area. They can't really determine that it was from that submarine. On Thursday, they had Canadian vessels going out and searching and sending subs down deep and cameras to go try and see what happened to the submarine. And unfortunately, they did find debris, and they found a part of the nose cone of the submarine and other large major pieces of debris that led them to believe that the submarine imploded and that those passengers obviously did not survive. They're still currently doing some searches to try and get an effective timeline as to when it imploded, what exactly caused it. And that's just so scary just to think like what they went through down there. It's terrifying. And actually in 2018, there was an employee of Ocean Gate that got fired. He did report them to OSHA for violating safety regulations. He said that he believed that ship was only built to maintain pressure at about 1,400 feet below sea level. And obviously they're going a lot deeper down than that to see the Titanic. So it begs the question, was this really safe even to begin with? Is it really even a good choice to go on in the first place? Obviously, you're signing a waiver saying they're not responsible for your death. That's scary. And even if you go back to when I was talking about David, when he went down, the CBS news guy, when he went down for the expedition, he said that as he explored it, it seemed like a lot of it was just very like thrown together, put together, like very last minute without a lot of thought. If you saw the picture I'm gonna insert right here, it's literally like a game controller that's controlling this submarine. It was just insane. And also, I really thought, like in my mind, when I'm thinking of submarine, I was thinking like the tightest little, like they're laying down on each other, barely any space. But it was actually about the size of a minivan. So the people could sit in there cross-legged, I'm not going to say comfortably, but not extremely squished together. And there was like some sort of bathroom situation in there. But to me, that's just crazy to risk your life to go see where a lot of people died. That's scary. And I already feel like there's got to be bad juju. The Titanic already wrecked there. Like, and then subs are getting lost down there. And now you have this imploded submarine. Like, that's just crazy to me, and I just feel like we're not supposed to be in those waters. You guys tell me what you think. I think, exploration is cool for the sake of science, but I think that we can let that graveyard rest. That's insane to me. Please comment below if I gave any incorrect information. Again, I just read the articles. I read what's put out, what's put out to the public. I have no more information or insight on that beyond that. And I am very eager to see what updates they give us, what, exactly, we know it imploded, but like, when did it happen? What safety regulation could have been implemented that could have prevented this? Like, it's just insane to me. They did say that the ship was set up with like 96 hours of like oxygen should something fail, should they not, return to the surface in a reasonable amount of time. There was oxygen that could last them a few days. So the hope was that even after being lost, that some signal would be sent and they would be able to be found before that oxygen ran out. We have to talk about too that these tickets were $250,000 per person. Now, it's definitely like a once in a lifetime experience, obviously, to see the Titanic, but that's crazy. But I did see that the CEO of OceanGate did say that they spent about $1 million on fuel to even do these expeditions. So I guess in order to make money, they have to price it at that, but that's just insane. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys soon with another update of what's going on in the world. Bye.